Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. Many of you are parents. Many of your children are responsive, good children, children that you're proud of, but many of them aren't. And for those of you who have had and do have children who just don't seem to listen, they got that big head, and they don't want to hear anything you say as being good or righteous. They always know better. And it doesn't matter what kind of situation they find themselves in, they will stick to what they consider is their way, which is definitely liberating to them. It's like telling your kids, stay away from certain environments because there are certain type of problems that come out of that. And it seems as though that's what they look for. It's like telling your sons to make sure if you have sex with girls, be sure that you put on some type of protection so you don't get caught up with these early responsibilities that you're not really prepared for. But how many guys want to use protection? And the women, they tell their daughters, stay away from it. Don't do it until you are capable of handling the situation. You know, get your education. Get a job, or at least focus on one. And if you have to, you know, engage in sex, if the echoes of your peers say that you just got to engage yourselves, make sure you have protection. And how many of you know that never works? They always come and tell you, well, this was their first time and they got caught. You know how that story goes. Well, I say that to say that we as American citizens appear to be sort of the same kind of way. I know black men who tell their sons, pull up your pants. Don't be wearing your pants hanging down below your butt. And look like the more they say it, the more kids walk around with their pants under their butts showing. I don't know if it's just something that you tell them and say it's a sign of homosexuality. And it's like they throw it in your face, to hell with you. I just want you to know what I'm thinking about you. Kiss my butt. That's what they basically seemingly are saying to the rest of humanity. Kiss my butt. Kiss my behind. And so they go on this kind of way, doing their own thing to whatever end. And as I was saying, it appears as if the American public is sort of the same kind of way. And perhaps this is why our children are the way that they are. And undoubtedly, it is the truth. You see, in our political system, most of our lives, all we basically are familiar with are Republicans and Democrats. Republicans and Democrats. Democrats and Republicans. And they all promise us this, they all promise us that. But if you look back over their administrations, you find that in each one, you have what you call the super rich, you have what you have the middle class, and you got your poor folk. Republicans, Democrats, Democrats, Republicans. It never fails. It doesn't matter what they say. And we've learned now that it doesn't even matter what color they are, black or white. It's the same outcome. And it keeps repeating itself because it appears as if there's something wrong with the psyche of the American people. We have an understanding of what Republicans are about. They say they're conservative. In some situations, they respond conservatively, and on others, they just do as any liberal will do. And they are champions of the status quo. Well, you get Democrats. And Democrats come along, and it is the same identical thing. They might put a little focus on something else that the Republicans didn't put the focus on, but at the end of the day, the same pattern is followed, and the outcome is the same. Well, we know that the American people, for one reason or another, got very tired of this, and so they decided they were going to try something different. And this is something that really blows my mind at how it happened. It happened so that your candidates for the Republican Party and for the Democratic Party both was lauded as being evil. The Republicans talked about how evil Miss Clinton was. Democrats talked about how evil Donald Trump was. So you got two evil candidates at least half of the nation thought was evil. But no action was taken to get rid of these candidates and put someone up there that you felt comfortable about. Somebody who was genuinely concerned about you and the issues of the day. No, you went bogged down into these candidates. I mean, you really got down into your candidates. And you gave them the best voice you could give them. You gave them the best shout out that they could get. And even you called them evil. Your own ones. You just called them the lesser evil. And you, the American people, went to the polls and you voted for evil. And you see what you got. But you haven't changed. You haven't learned a thing. You have not learned a thing. Now the Republicans are trying to lift up and say that they're not so bad. Look what they've done. Look what they did with the tax bill. Look what Trump is trying to do with this and that as a Republican. And the Democrats are out saying, well, he didn't do that good, and we can do better, and give us a chance to continue this process. This is the same thing that has been going on ever since I've been in the face of the earth. And I've been here nearly 70 years. And all of you who are coming out of high school, 18 years, 17, 18 years old, or who might be voting in this election, you know you've heard the same thing. You can't deny it. The question is, are you going to jump into the same old footsteps that your parents have been walking into, that your relatives have been walking into? Now, outside of Republican and Democrats, and even the others, the Green Party, the other parties that we call third parties, they are all saying things a little bit different, but there's no doubt because of what reality is, there, if you put them in office, would be no different, or any better, should I say, than what we have seen all our lives. But has there ever been a voice that's different than these two voices? I suggest that there has. And it's a voice that's been so dynamic that people all over this country has found it necessary to engage themselves in an activity of going to church every Sunday, indulging themselves in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday activities that facilitates the goal, supposedly, of these churches. Sure, they are as different in their teaching as Republican and Democrat, but they speak about a power, my friends, that cares about black people and white people, that cares about men and women, that cares about the young and the old. In fact, they talk about a power that has been so essential in making sure that all of the people were protected, because this is the expression of love. They talk about a power that has instilled within the earth resources that are essential in creating those survival gifts that are essential for everybody, and instill within the individual the aptitude, the desire, all of that that is required to engage themselves into the earth and its resources, to bring from it all of that which we have needed to survive up to this point, and to even carry us further to things we had never even thought about. That's the power that we talk about. We give our money and our time to go to churches. In fact, we have made the churches such big, rich institutions so sometimes you can't tell the difference between them and some of the things that's going on in government. But I say to you, young people and old people, that is the only voice that has said justice. That is the only voice that has said peace and prosperity. That is the only voice that speaks about joy in life and happiness in life and freedom and liberation in life, that talks about unlimited health care and unlimited education. That is the only voice that speaks about these kinds of things. And you have said that many of you have said that you are born again, meaning you have changed your way of thinking of your education from the system to one that has to do with your spiritual understanding. That you are born again and that you're filled with fire and the Holy Ghost. Many of you say this. And whether you say that or not, even many of you go out and speak in tongues. Many of you are touched by the hands of a preacher and you fall over benches and whole crowds fall down. just because of your psychic telling you about this wonderful, magnificent power that is for all the people. And yet, when someone comes to you and talking about a change, a real change in government, not Republican, not Democrat, but about that invisible power that has been so essential in all existence. You hear it in church on Sunday, but let them come out of the pulpit. Let them engage in a campaign. Let them knock on your door and tell you that this is the way to go, and that this is what they are offering to you, the American people, an opportunity to take God out of those buildings and put God in the everyday life of everybody in the United States of America. And you shut your door. You don't want to have anything to do with it. What does that say about you, the American people? What does that say about you who are poor, who pray to God? What does that say about you, the middle class, who thank God that things have not been so bad for you as it has been for the poor? And you keep praying to God to help you get on up the ladder. What does that say about you who are up the ladder? If you still pray to God, I'm sure you thank God for everything that God has done for you. You can't curse him. So what does that say about all of us as American people in the reality of what we say we believe in, what we say our faith is founded on? What does that really say about us? That you are still trying to stay and hug and embrace a system that has failed the American people. It might have worked for some of you, but as a whole, it has failed the American people since its inception. And it did it at the last campaign, and it's happening to the people all over America today. And you are still out there pushing Republican, a failed policy, pushing Democrat, a failed policy, and slamming the door on God, whom you say is the essence of your life. What does that say about you, the American people? I say that look at this matter. Give it another stare. Reconsider. Make up your mind that you want to play a part, that you want to be a servant of this invisible God, that you have served the Republicans, you have served the Democrats, and in so doing you have disserviced the American people. Make up your mind that you want to be better than that. And if you so decide, then for those of you in Minnesota, I'm asking you to send Eddie Marcus to the United States Senate as a replacement for Al Franken. I'm asking you to write his name in on the ballot, because he will not be on the ballot for a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, because he does not have the finances necessary to play that game. Nor is he asking anybody for money to play a game that has failed the American people. He's asking you to just take a pencil or pen and write his name in. If you're successful in doing that, he will go to the United States Senate, champion the same concerns that he's been doing for the past 40 years and what he's been doing right here today. Not just to the Congress, but to the constituency all across this country. They need to change their minds just like the Congress does, just like you need to change your mind. The people of this nation needs to know that God is real and not a plaything. God is not a Santa Claus that come in every now and then. God is here always. Always, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I realize that many of you don't know anything about God except what you heard and what you read. But I want to tell you that you can know everything about God. But in order to do that, you have to change your heart. You have to desire to know. You have to want to know. You have to search and seek to see if you can bring yourself to a level where you might be able to understand God. When you reach out and search out, it will happen for you. I want you to know that the truth of God is out in the atmosphere, just like the pictures and the sounds that you cannot see. But you need a receiver to expose those sounds, to expose and reveal those pictures. And you need a heart, a pure heart, to be able to understand God. And what you have done up until this point, even though you go to church, Even though you get mega churches, even though some of those places are packed with people, even though those people are receiving, the pastors, the preachers, are receiving so much money, the reality of our nation is that you do not know God. That means your heart is really messed up. And you need to cleanse that baby. Cleanse it. And make sure that in 2020, that you go to those polls and you write in Eddie Marcus. I will not be on the ballot again. Write in Eddie Marcus. Because the nation needs to know, every citizen one unto the other, that you are on the same page, that you are in agreement with what is being said to you today. And I want you to know, you don't have to count on the Republicans to do this or the Democrats to do this. You're counting on God to do it. But you know that God is going to do it. Because it is the Spirit of God in you that's going to make every step, that's going to use every hand, every eye, every voice to champion the spirit of love. And you won't have anyone to blame, because it will work. This I guarantee and promise. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope it has been a worthwhile for all of us. Bye-bye.